Hey guys, Julian here, and today I'm going to be talking to you about how to make huge techno sounds using Serum. I get a lot of questions about this because, as you guys who watch my videos know, in the videos I mostly use the Ableton stuff. This being said, when I make my own tracks, like all my own techno releases and all the other styles I've done, I do use VSTs. I don't just use Ableton stuff to produce. It's just that the Ableton stuff is convenient for the videos because then everybody can download the project files. But I do use Serum quite a bit, and I use a lot of other VSTs as well. And so today I figured I'd make a video where I just kind of put together some sounds, and I'll use whatever I want. I'm not going to just limit myself to Ableton stuff. Now, for the melodies and for the notes and the sounds that we're going to be putting through these synths here, I have some melodies that I came up with. I just dropped this pack yesterday. It is called 10 Techno Melodies. It's available in the description. What it is, it's 10 techno melodies in this style for $10. Here are some examples of them. So I'm using some MIDI from here. If you want to get this pack, it's available in the description. Like I said, it's got 10 awesome techno melodies in there, and there's also a contest going on with that, which you can see on the link, which is in the description. But yeah, so I'm using some of these melodies to come up with some stuff. I have this first Serum patch here. It's just a blank Serum patch. Let's use this melody. We'll go to 130. So for this, I'm hearing maybe like a kind of superstar type of sound. So let's pull up this unison here. And when I'm making sounds using Serum, I mean, this is how I make sounds with everything really, is like, I don't really try for any particular sound that I have in my head. Like, I'll maybe have an idea like, oh, let me try and use some unison here. Or let me try and play with like an interesting envelope on the volume. But I never try to just do something exactly as I hear it in my head. With sound design and with music really in general, it's better to just kind of play around with the synth, and like obviously you gotta know what you're doing when you're doing that, but it's better to kind of play around with the synth and kind of like end up with happy accidents that sound cool, rather than like trying to say like, okay, for example, I'm gonna put the phaser exactly like this and it's gonna sound exactly like it does in my head, because chances are it's not gonna sound exactly like it does in your head and you're gonna be disappointed. But if you aim for happy accidents, you come up with stuff that you wouldn't have expected. So I'm gonna just play around here. We could do like a shorter envelope, Joy Hauser style. Give it a little bit of portamento. Give it a little bit of noise as well. Once that one loads. And then something I'll do a lot of the times when I'm making a lead like this is I'll pull up like basic shapes here and actually just do a little bit of FM from B. And what'll happen is, like, obviously if you do this with a saw wave, like usually I'll do it with like 2 saw waves, it's pretty abrasive, it's pretty rough. It can get a little crazy, it does sound cool. But what I do is I'll just put like a little bit of an LFO on there, and we have it on this off setting where it's just moving constantly. It doesn't stop or start, it just constantly goes. And then we'll put that on there and I'll give it like a slow time. Let's use a square wave. And you can hear we get kind of a more interesting texture. It gives it something kind of like moving and changing. It sounds really cool. So this is the kind of stuff you want to think about, like when you're making these types of sounds, and when I make these types of sounds, I always try to shoot for something like this that's like, you know, it's like an interesting take on something. And it's like I was just kind of playing around, again, we're sort of like aiming for happy accents. Like I was just kind of playing around with this, and I found that the square wave got an interesting sound to it. Like that modulation where it's kind of like phasing like that. I wouldn't have thought to do that in my head, but because I kind of just played around with a few different ideas, again, knowing what I was doing and knowing a little bit of what would come out, I was able to come up with something really cool that I would have never gotten otherwise. So this is why we want to aim for happy accidents rather than like an exact sound in your head. But let's give this a bit of chorus. I like this with with these leads. The Serum chorus is really nice too. Turn up the feedback a little. That's cool. I'm also going to put a little bit of an LFO on the chorus right here, because this just kind of gives it, again, like a little bit more movement. It's a subtle thing, but I'll put this one. It's going to be doing the same thing as that first one, where it's just kind of like moving slowly. It's not going to stop or start because I have it on the off setting. But this one will be a little bit faster. And you can hear what that's doing, you know, just gives a little bit of a more interesting modulation. Let's put some distortion on it. Makes it a bit fatter. Nah, sometimes that multiband can work. Cool, so there we go. So there's the sound. We have this cool kind of like super soft sound, but it's a little bit more to it with that modulation, with the FM and stuff like that. And we can put a little bit of an envelope on this filter here as well. There we go. So from here, I'll put a bit of some effects on here. I really like this one. Is one that I use a lot. It's this guitar rig echo. It sounds kind of odd for electronic music, but this tape echo here is just a really, really nice recreation of the Roland Space Echo, which is, as you know, used a lot in techno actually, but it's this really cool old tape echo, and this just has a really nice feeling to it. It really gives it some life. We can also put a bit of some room reverb on here. I like the Valhalla reverbs a lot. Cool, and then from there, you know, I'll use like my usual, give it some saturation to fatten it up. I want to make these notes a little more staccato. Cool, so there it is. So there's sound one. So you can see we went from nothing and built this sound here. And it sounds pretty cool. So that is how I would go making like a lead like this from scratch. For this next sound, I think I'm going to pull up this one melody here. Well, this is actually a pad. So we are in the key of B minor, and this pad is in G sharp minor. So we just have to move it up. But I want to show you guys how to make like a pad or something like that. So let's copy this melody over a bunch of times. There we go. And then I'll put the pad into B minor. It's not that hard. It's all in minor keys. I'm sure this is going to work together still. And then we'll put another Serum on there. Let's put this down an octave. So with this one, I'm going to make something using more FM. The FM in Serum is just really, really a wonderful way to make like kind of more interesting sounds. We're going to get some basic shapes here. I'm going to turn down the level on the second oscillator. I'm going to do FM from B. And with this one, it's just going to be like slowly moving, just like with the last sound. But it's going to be more of like this long continuous thing. And this sounds crazy right now, but then you filter it back a little bit. Let's actually put this up a bit. Let's do a slower LFO on the second one. It's important to pay attention to details like this. Like, you don't want to just use one LFO for all of these. But that's cool. That's got a really interesting texture to it. Because we have all these modulations happening off of each other. But then if we put that through some reverb, all of a sudden it creates this really cool pad. And it's the key here with this one is also about like making a sound that isn't just like a supersaw. Like it'd be really easy to just make another supersaw and use that as a pad, of course. But like we're trying to create a little bit more interesting things here and have a little bit of a cooler texture to them, and aren't just like supersaws. We give this some phaser. Bit of hyperdimension. Cool, so there it is. So now we've got kind of like a nice pattern underneath this as well. And you can see it was very simple to make. It's just kind of playing with that FM. We could even maybe do a little bit more, like try. Sometimes putting the FM at a fifth like that can be cool. And we'll detune these a little. Sounds really cool. And then I'll usually put like a bit of drum bus on my pads as well. This might seem odd, but it actually does work very well, because even though this is a pad, you still want it to be, you know, big and fat and full sounding. And you can hear that really brings that out. Nice, so that is pretty much it for this one, guys. That is all I wanted to show you. I just want to show you some techniques of how you can create different synths and different sounds using Serum and using some other VSTs as well. Like I said, I know that I use the Ableton stuff a lot, but I do use these. Like in all my tracks that I've released, I've used Serum, I've used this guitar break delay, I've used Valhalla Room. Like, I'm not just using Ableton stuff to make these tracks. So I want to show you guys my process a little bit as well with this one. So that's it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe, and let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, the 10 Techno Melodies Volume 1, where you heard this melody and this pad from, is in the description if you want to check that out. You can also join the contest by getting that. All of that is in the description. So yeah, thank you so much, guys, and I will see you tomorrow with another video.